Uh, I feel I feel good. I feel tired. Um, this morning, uh, I woke up like around 5:30, 5:45. I've been getting really good sleep lately, and so every time I do fall into that pattern of going to bed like between 9 and 10 o'clock, I'm usually up around 5:30, and I mean I just feel good. I feel ready to go, and so that's kind of been our schedule lately. Hi, Mister. Can I help you? Good boy. And there's this route that I've been walking where I just leave the apartments, go all the way around the main road, and come back around the other. And it's about 3.3 miles, which is what we do at the park also. But I've been liking this one more just because it just saves a little bit of gas having to drive and just changing it up a little bit. And I like it. It's just very easy and convenient to go and do it. So I wanted to do that, and it feels good. It feels really good to go and do those 3.3 miles done first thing in the morning. Um, I've talked about this before in some of my first videos that I started putting out regularly. How it feels really good to get the most difficult thing done um, early, and just kind of how I've come along in just my walk in life so far. Writing for me is no longer a very existential, dreadful endeavor. Like I've said before, I'm at a place now in my life where it's become very easy to sit down, to write, to brainstorm, to edit, um, and especially when I'm out and exercising, I leave my phone here in the apartment. I don't take it with me. I don't take any music with me. It's just Arlo and I outside. And that's the best time that I have to just think through anything that's on my mind. Um, Most of the time, it's thinking through, okay, what's going to be the next step for my work, or if it's really focused, what's the next step in the book that I'm working on. And so it helps a lot for me to just logically think through the. Pardon, I still a little bit of a sniffle. It helps me to just logically think through the next step in the stories that I'm working on, but also logically think through the next steps for me and where I want to go and what I want to continue doing. And so I hope you enjoyed. If you watched the video that I put up last week um, for Godzilla's birthday, November 3rd. I set up some cardboard boxes like little buildings, and I let Arlo destroy them to get the treats in them. He's a good little monster, good boy. He's silly, and so that was fun. I wanted to do that, and so I'm glad I got to do it. Pardon me. There's this like green powder, organic nutrient mix that I drink every now and then. It tastes really great, really refreshing, and so that's what I've been drinking. You can tell I still have a little bit lingering of a bit of a sore throat, so thankfully, the worst of it's over, and so we're just getting back into the swing of everything. So yeah, my book, Fading Death, a zombie story. I am now entering the process of going through and cleaning up the draft with all of my handwritten notes, and I found that most of my notes had to come in at the beginning of the book when I didn't really have a clear journey in mind for all of the characters, because I'd say maybe like close to a third of the way in was kind of when I hit the stride of like, okay, I have all my characters set and how I want them to interact and the journeys that I want them to go on. And so a lot of the notes were mostly in the first third of the book, of just making sure that relevant plot points that I mentioned later on are alluded to earlier. For example, one of the characters, he's a Korean guy, and he served in Korea's army as is mandatory for men, in Korea. I forgot the exact age they have to serve by, but I think they do 1 or 2 years military mandatory service, and so that's relevant in the story because that military background is what kind of really comes in handy for him. And so, yeah, I just had to make sure that okay, this needs to be mentioned earlier because if it's just dropped out of nowhere, then it's just gonna catch the reader off guard, and it's just gonna seem like what like if this is true, why are we just now finding out about this? Like this would have been relevant to his story from the start. So it's things like that I had to go back and make sure we're solid and set. So I'm really excited to get this story cleaned up from the first draft that I wrote into a draft that's ready to look for an editor. And I mean, I want to be able to finish this within the next 2-3 weeks to be able to then look for an editor, and we'll see if I find an editor before the new year. I've got some people that I want to ask of what advice they might have, who have also published books before, how they went about finding an editor. Because I mentioned it before that I think I personally would feel very comfortable meeting an editor for the first time to help me with my book, either like getting to meet them one-on-one in person or by reference from somebody that I do know. Because this is a really significant and important step for me, and it's a really big learning portion of this process for me. So I'm really excited about it. I don't know. And so that's that's kind of what the next steps are, and being able to just consistently get really good sleep and exercise. All of it's just lining up well. I wake up every morning with a clarity of my goals, of my drive, of my purpose, and like I know my life is very repetitive at this point in time, but it's like I'm all in. I'm all in on my work, on where I'm going, on what I'm focused on. Outside of my actual job, because I have to do that and it's required, and that's a really big responsibility to be able to afford the life that I have right now. On my spare time, on my free time is when I can focus on this. So that's where I'm at, and I'm excited to just work a little bit every day on the books that I want to see finished, because there are others that I've been working on also. And I don't want to talk about any of them too much, just because same as I was doing with Fading Death, I will feel much more comfortable talking about it once I have the first draft finished. Because once that first draft is finished, I'm finding it much easier to just take a step away from it, let the imagination, let the creativity, let the process kind of refresh, and then get clear ideas on the edits that I know for sure I want to make and change. So and some of the books that I'm working on are just standalone also, and other ones are a series that I have in mind that I want to write. And the genres that I want to write in are not just modern fiction with the zombies twist or whatever. No, like I want to write books that take place in fantasy settings, science fiction settings as well. And I talked about sci-fi before a little bit, because that truly is my favorite genre, science fiction. And there's some books that I really do have in mind that I want to write, and it's kind of the whole reason I started writing, because I had an idea for a sci-fi story, and I started writing it down, and that really laid the foundation of the books that I'm working on. So that's going to be a special time when I go into that process. But I'm really happy to make progress on these other books first too, because it feels right for me to go this route, because these are just small standalone stories, one book, and that I'm finding is much easier to work with starting out and build from there. So Yeah, I had a number of topics in mind that I really wanted to talk about today. That it's just completely slipping my mind. But who knows? Maybe it'll come to me as I'm kind of wrapping up here. But yeah, this episode today's it's not going to be that long. Just a quick little update on where we are. So um, I think, yeah, what I will try to do for next week's video is to show you the Google Doc that I have and kind of like the reference sheet that I use for the work that I'm doing on this current book, Fading Death. Um, just so you can kind of see a little bit of how my work situation looks like on the computer, because I use Google Docs to write my books. And I know, I'm sure people will say you should try other platforms, you should try other programs, but look, I've been using Google Docs for as long as I've had a Gmail account, or since they introduced Google Docs. I forgot how many years ago now, and it's just kind of been easy for me to work with and use, and easily able to share with anybody, and um, it's heavily supported. And for me, that's just what I stick with. Um, and it's nice because I could easily go from working on it from the laptop to my desktop computer. And even sometimes I'll have it on my tablet, on my iPad, where I'll just open my books and I'll kind of read through. But my tablet itself, I don't like reading on a small digital screen too long. I don't like writing or editing on it. Um, I prefer an actual computer to do that. The iPad itself mostly is what I use for my nightly comfort TV. um, I, if you haven't heard of it before, and I'm gonna link his TV series, but years ago, really one of the first major like media pioneers of survival outdoor television is Les Stroud of Survivor Man, and his whole thing was he's gonna stay 7 days out in the wilderness in some random location, and he's gonna record himself showing how he survives, what he's thinking, what he deals with, and his TV series, it's amazing. It's great. Like I said, he's a big pioneer in the outdoor survival video genre, and so a lot of times I'll just put his episodes on the iPad on YouTube. He has a channel there, and like I said, I'm gonna link it, and I'll just put an episode on, and I'll just like fall asleep as it's playing, and that's my comfort TV. Especially, I don't know why, like especially in the colder months now that we're going further into fall and winter's coming soon. Um, like when it's colder, I don't know. For me, it just always felt like comfort to just be bundled up under my sleeping bag and just warm and cozy, watching Survivor Man. And Les Stroud is sleeping under a canopy of branches and sticks, and sleeping on a bed of grass and mud, and here I am in my bed, comfort, whatever. But I really appreciate the guy. I've learned a lot from him on just what to be mindful of in surviving outdoors. And I haven't really needed to put myself in a real survival situation, but every time I go outdoors and camping, I always think of everything that I've learned from him, and there's other people too that I'll come across on YouTube also who do a lot of outdoor bushcraft stuff. That's comfort TV for me. So is just like city walking in random places. Like you'll notice here in the background, there's a city in China, Chongqing, and I want to visit it someday. So just kind of a good way to put it in my mind of, yeah, just imagine what it'll be like when I'm there, and it'll happen. So yeah, that's really what I have to share today. Whatever projects you have, you're working on, creative endeavors, keep at it, because nobody's gonna bring your imagination to life except you. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it.